Hey everyone, it's Julian, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make deep house like Harrison BDP. As usual, you can get the full project file and samples and MIDI presets, all of that stuff from this video. It's available right at the top of the description on my Bandcamp, and if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there, because it's already available there as well. And yeah, let's get started. So this is the loop from the intro. We're at 121 BPM. The first thing that's going on here are these pads, which sound like this. So what's happening here is we have two pads. You can see they're playing the exact same chord, but then, which I'll break down that chord for you in a sec. But what's happening is they're kind of just sort of playing off of each other. We have like this first one which comes in right at the start of the loop, and then you get that like from the second pad coming in on the upbeats there. So yeah, this is something that I heard in a few of these tracks. Just having like the two different pads playing off of each other creates a lot of depth in the track, because you know, you're not just hearing like one thing, you're hearing some complexity between these two different layers. And yeah, so it's going to give it a lot of movement. Now, for the first pad, I'll show you the chord first. So, what this is it is an E minor 9 chord. So, what we're doing here is, basically, you can see, we have an E minor in here. So, we have this one. There we go, that's an E minor chord. And then what's happening here is we have a minor 7th. And then I have a 9th, which is that note right there. And then I also added in another E up here, and then this B and E down here. So we just had the root note and then the root note in the 5th. But yeah, so this is like a pretty simple chord to make. Again, it's just based on that regular E minor chord, but adding in that minor 7th and the 9th give it a really nice sort of more chill and jazzy feel. Now for the sound with this one, you can see it's made with operators. So this is just a simple FM pad. We just have 3 sine waves here doing FM. I've got them detuned a little bit. The second one is up an octave. Those are going into a low pass filter, and then the low pass has a bit of an envelope on it as well, so it'll kind of go down. Then we have an LFO on the volume of oscillator B. Just moving that really subtly and slowly. And yeah, then from there we just have a bit of chorus, which is spreading the sound out and giving it a bit of warble. We have a bit of reverb as well, which gives it some space and makes it kind of longer. Then we have this drum bus, which fattens it up. This is not only fattening it up, but it's also kind of giving it a more like lo-fi-esque sort of sound. You know, that's another part of this sound, is that it has that sort of like deep lo-fi house feel to it. Drum bus is a really great way to do that. You can see with the saturation, and then by bringing this damp down, you're able to really make it sound, you know, like it has that character to it. Then from there, we just have this high pass filter, and then I have a compressor, which is sidechaining this to the kick a little bit. Not a whole lot, but just a little to kind of keep it under control. And yeah, that's it for the first pad. And then with the second pad, like I said, same chord, literally the exact same chord, just playing at different times. With this one, the sound is made with analog. So what we have going on here, as you can see, we have a square wave, which I've turned the pulse width up a little, and we have this LFO modulating the pulse width, and then I have a saw wave. So I have those two layered together, and then those are going into this low pass filter here, which you can see, the low pass has an envelope, making it like open up like that. And yeah, so pretty long envelope, because these chords do hold out, so it's kind of like closing rather than like a quick or something like that. And yeah, then we got the amp envelope set like this. Then I just have a bit of vibrato as well as a bit of unison inside the synth. And then that is it for the synth patch. Then from there we have this phaser. So here's without this. And then with it. So you can can hear it's subtle, but it just adds that sort of like juicy kind of phaser sound to this. This is a really good way to give it texture and make it, you know, kind of sound more exciting and not just so like simple and flat. Then we have just a bit of chorus to spread the sound out. Then finally, I just have a saturator, sort of beefing it up a bit, and then this compressor side chaining into the kick, and then is it for the second pad. From there, we have the bass line, which sounds like this. So this is pretty influenced by like decompression and tracks like that. So you can see it's just a simple bass line, mostly just focused around this E note here. Again, we're in the key of E minor, and then just kind of walks up the scale. Like, it's just notes that are in the chord, like, of E minor. Like, you can see we have E, then G, the minor third, B, the fifth. Like, really nothing too crazy. It's just kind of using those smoothly and rhythmically. For the sound with this one, this is made with analog. So you can see, yeah, we have a saw wave and then a square wave here. With the square wave, I've turned the pulse width up. Those are going into a low pass filter, which is just set like this. We've got this envelope, which is giving it that plucky sound. And yeah, with this one, one of the main things that took time with this bass was just dialing in this bass sound. Because if you make this too short, it's not really going to be as fat. But if you make it too long, you're not really going to have as much definition in the notes. So just kind of shortening it like this to the right level was really important with this one. And then we have the amp envelope set like that. And then I just have a bit of drum bus fattening it up. Here's without that. And then with it, you can hear how this really brings out that fullness in the low end and the low mid range. Then we have this EQ here, which is just cutting out a bit of space. Cutting out some mud, and then finally I just have this side chained a little bit to the kick, and that's it for the bass. And then after that we have the kick, which sounds like this. So yeah, this is just like this deep bassy sort of kick. This is the type of kick you want to use in this type of track, just something deep and very full in the low end like this. Like, I'll pull it up on the Spectrum, you can see. Like, it's really just mostly going to be this deep low-end thump that sits underneath your mix. It's not going to have, like, a lot of click to it. And yeah, also with this one, these little, like, you know, adding those in, the little kick fills, are important with this style. And then I should have a bit of saturation on that just to beef it up. Here's without it. And then with it. And again, with this one, it really is just pretty much about the sound. You just have to try to find one of these types of kicks, which is just like very deep and bassy, but still with a lot of punch to it. It can be hard to find. But if you want this one, link is right at the top of the description. And yeah, then we just have the kick and the bass grouped together with a bit of saturation. Here's without that. And then with it. So you can hear, you know, it just gives it that extra little bit of fullness. And really makes the low end powerful in the mix. And yeah, after that we have all the percussion. So I'll just go from the top down here. First thing is this clap. So this is just like this punchy, you know, very hard hitting, sort of mid-rangey clap. This is the type of clap you want, or one of these more like deep kind of mid-rangey claps. So I've just got that in there, and then it's going through a bit of saturation. I've shortened it a little bit as well with the amplitude envelope. Then we have this open hi-hat, which is made using two layers. We have this layer, sort of more in the high end, and then this layer, which is more in the mid-range. And so we're putting these together because either one of these on its own, like that would be too thin, and this wouldn't have enough high end. But then when you put them together, you get the best of both. And it sits really nicely in the mix. So yeah, just got those in a little instrument rack there. Then we have this little hi-hat and the shaker, which go together, sound like this. So this is just doing like that, and then what's happening is we just have two different layers. So we got this one, and then this one. So as you can hear, these are both pretty different. Like this one is a lot more of like a shaker, kind of adding some nice mid-range and highs, and also a bit of stereo width. And then this one is more of like a mid-rangey hi-hat, which is just giving us some nice like fullness. And then you put them together and you can get the best of both. And it's the same deal as with that other hi-hat. It's like if we just use one, you know, just the shaker on its own is a little bit too thin on its own. And then just this on its own, you know, they don't work, but then you put them together, and there we are. So yeah, and then the last thing that we have down here in the percussion is these two little percussion hits, which sound like this. So these are just, yeah, these two little percussion samples, this one, and then this one. So yeah, just got those in there playing a few little extra 16 notes, you know. The key with these is just to keep it really sparse and not have like too much, but just enough to where it's kind of filling out the beat a little bit more. And yeah, and then on the group of the percussion, just have a bit of drum bass, so just kind of ties everything together. Here's without it, and then with it. Now you can hear not only is it making everything fatter and making everything hit a bit more, but what it's really doing also here is kind of bringing everything closer together texturally, because you can see I have this damp knob down. So again, it's kind of what I was going back to with the pads. Like you want that slightly lo-fi house sound in this style, and so a great way to do that is just to cut some highs off of all the percussion using this damp knob here. Again, here's without this. You can hear those sharp highs and it doesn't really sound that textured, but then with it, it cuts like the sharp highs while still leaving in enough highs, but now it's got all kind of a more even texture and it fits into the track a lot better. Yeah, and then the last layer here is just going to be this atmosphere, which sounds like this. So this is just like some nice textured atmospheric noise. I'm just going to being high pass here. Here's without that. So this is just adding a little like over top of the beat. Again, it goes back to that sort of lo-fi thing like this, giving everything a bit of texture. And making it all sound kind of sampled and colorful. This is a really great way to do that. And yeah, so that's from me for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe. And let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get this full project file and samples and MIDI presets. Everything from this video is available right at the top of the description. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, it's available there. Thank you so much for getting those, guys. It's a great way to support me. And yeah, thank you so much, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video.